A Utah Industrial Bank, equal housing lender, and by affiliates of Avant Credit Corporation. California loans offered by Avant Credit will be made under financial lender's license number 603K124. Funds are generally deposited by ACH for delivery next business day if approved by 5 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday.
AM 790 Talk and Business answers your financial questions weeknights at 6 p.m. It's the Dave Ramsey Show. Join Dave every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. as he takes to the airwaves to share practical answers for life's tough money questions. He presents common sense talk about your financial future, and his callers share their real stories about their lives and families. The Dave Ramsey Show, weeknights from 6 to 9 p.m. on AM 790 Talk and Business. Now, back to the Coalition on AM 790 Talk and Business. Join in the conversation at 437-5000 or 888-345-0790.
And we are back. Again, sponsored by the fine folks at Beacon Shipping and Logistics, beaconshippinglogistics.com. Call them at 855-374-4748 for all your automobile shipping needs. You know, we're going to be also working closely over the next few weeks in the run-up to the Boston Cannabis Convention with the folks at Dig Boston, digboston.com, one of your leading sources for alternative media here in New England. I want to welcome back my co-host, Dave Fisher. Dave, thanks for spending quality time with me today.
I do enjoy our Sunday mornings together, Pat.
Gee whiz, you make my soda fizz. All right. We've got a special guest in studio, Mark Ward, Communications Director of RI Normal, the Rhode Island affiliate, of course, for the national organization Normal, dedicated to the regulation and legalization of cannabis, both for social, medicinal, and industrial needs. Mark, welcome back to our show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks again.
Mark, what are the underlying? I mean, let me phrase this properly. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, folks out here in Rhode Island are obsessed, as well they should be, with it's all about the economy. So they say. I am. I think we all get that.
Yeah.
What? And there's an attempt by folks who are opposed to legalization and regulation,
yes,
that this is just a superficial social issue that really has no bearing on the quality of life of the average Rhode Islander.
All right.
Talk about that.
Well, the thing is, with those people, I have to say statistics. That's all I have to really say. Look at the statistics. You can't argue the numbers. We have already looked at the tax revenue that out west they're already receiving from their recreational and legalization. They're actually, I believe, have a surplus that they're handing back to their citizens right now. If I'm correct.
In Colorado,
yes,
there was actually basically a refund that came through the revenue. Yeah.
Now that doesn't just happen. The government just says, "Here's money. Here's money." So that must mean that obviously there was something done right. So yes, basically the whole. We already know that having this being prohibited has been nothing but a sham. It has been nothing but horrible. The whole war on drugs has been a complete and utter failure. It really has.
What do you estimate the war? Is there any number? Is it possible to put a number on, just first of all, financially, what the war on drugs costs America per year?
Oh my goodness. To be honest, you can't really. I don't think you can really put a cap on that number because there's so many other things that are connected to the war on drugs that we don't really talk about. I mean, when you have anything from all these race issues that get involved and all that, that also connects to the war on drugs. So how can you really add
immigration?
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely a byproduct of the war on drugs. The fact that these cartels basically control entire states in Central and South America. People just look around and go, we got to get out of here.
Yes,
we need to get out of here.
So as far as, putting a numerical, cap on how much we spend to try to fight with the war on drugs, you can't, because they're making it they made it into more issues than it really, they had it set out with the intent at first, you know what I mean? Now, as far as the immigration and all these other things, it's all just a smokescreen for all these other issues that these officials have. The war on drugs, like I said, basically is a sham. Now, as far as the legalization is concerned, I think that this will of course, just clear up a whole lot of issues as far as you don't have those smoke screens anymore. You don't have those smoke screens anymore. We already know that the cartels will be, they're already being hurt right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen that. We've been saying that since, for years. We already know that you take it out of their hands because it's not like, when alcohol was legalized back, when Prohibition happened, then you didn't have all these people trying to peddle alcohol in the streets. Right now, we don't have guys
arguably, prohibition of alcohol was what gave rise to organized crime in the United States.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the two. You cannot, you can't separate them.
Exactly. That's my point. And nowadays, we don't have people on the corner peddling alcohol. That's not an issue. We regulated it. We made a market out of it, and it's all said and done. There was more harm than there was good in that whole scenario. And the same thing's happening. It's just we're seeing the same exact thing going on. Organized crime, and it's just fueling it. And where is this money going to? Whose hands is? Obviously, if they're not going to stop this, there's got to be something going on where there's reason B.
Yeah.
So
well, and you look at the impact to our prison system as well,
Yes.
Our court system, our prison system, law enforcement. Every time a cop stops somebody for anything,
Yes.
arrest somebody for anything, even if it's just a traffic stop and they let them off with a warning, like that's your tax dollars right there, like every
Yes.
single time. So. Yeah, we decriminalized, marijuana. I think it's under an ounce now in the state, where you get like a $150 fine or something like that.
Yes.
But even that is there's another ticket this cop has to write, and another day that he has to show up in court if somebody's going to contest it. And
yes, it's still time off these crimes that we actually could be paying attention to. You know what I mean? We have all these stories of parents who again, you talk about the crime in itself. We also talk about the immense, horrible nature of these people getting arrested when they're trying to, for medical purposes, save their children.
Yeah.
We're finding that out now. So that's, again, this, I think it's more of a crime that this has not been done yet, that we haven't legalized yet.
Let's clarify a couple things. First of all, you're not advocating for children to smoke pot, are you?
No, not of course. Not of course not. That's not my point at all. But we do know that we have had very very inducive studies for cannabis oils that are not THC driven oils, which means they're not very
CBDs, right?
They're high in CBD. They're low in THC. So there's not really a psychotropic effect with these medications. All right, and we've seen the digression of cancers. We've seen children who have seizure disorders,
like massive seizures.
Yes,
too.
exactly. Yeah. We're talking upwards of 300 seizures a day, compared to maybe one. Or I've seen videos of children in constant state of seizure. All they can do is pretty much writhe in pain, and that's it. And how are you going to tell this child or these parents, no, we have a medicine, we know it works, but we can't have it because of few laws that were made.
Archaic drug laws,
exactly.
Basically.
And that's it.
One of my a couple of things I want to touch on here. So last year in the General Assembly there was the Regulate Rhode Island bill,
yes.
to tax, regulate, and everything to do with legal marijuana, 21 and over. Secure dispensaries, you name it. I know there was some pushback in Colorado on the language around the edibles, the candies, the oils, the things like that.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure. I didn't think that the Rhode Island version of the law had anything specifically addressing edibles.
See, I don't think so. I think they kind of have it as a whole. They don't have it really drawn out as far as that intricate.
Yeah,
but I think that's an issue.
But as of right now, the Regulate Rhode Island bill has not been reintroduced into this General Assembly session.
No, I don't. No,
I don't think it has, and it's we're coming up on the legislative deadline here, folks. February 15th, I think, is the deadline. So if this is something you're for, call your state legislators, call your senators, call your reps, hell, call your city council and have them pass a resolution in support of it if that's the case.
If this is a state where we, like we were talking about earlier, we say we want to make a change, then do it.
Yeah.
Then do it. That's it. It's
the state house is less than 30 miles from anybody's house in this state.
It's Rhode Island, all right? So just go there. I mean, I'm sorry, but people have to start stepping up.
Yeah.
All right, and now's the time. Now is the time.
So one of the things that I think is the biggest kind of slap in the face as far as criminalization of marijuana goes is the fact that industrial hemp gets lumped in to the same control group, like the same controlled substance group as, the most amazingly THC heavy strains of cannabis.
It makes absolutely no sense.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah, here's a plant that makes paper, can be used as a feedstock for fuels and plastics, can be used to make construction equipment, can used to be made concrete stronger and lighter.
It's one of the best. Yeah, hempcrete,
just like
yes. It's
like right down the road, like everything you can think of, hemp has an application.
Renewable resource. All right?
Great cover crop, can be used to remediate soils. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The fact that the United States, that the DEA puts this plant in the same category as the sativas and the indicas that get you high as a kite it's insane. It's ludicrous.
Yes, you're comparing apples to oranges, and it's really
apples. It's like apples to spaceships.
Well, yes, that's actually more proper. But yes, we already know all these different applications that we can have on with hemp. And the odd thing is, we look at the numbers for how renewable it is. As far as all these things that we use the timber industry for, hemp is such a quick-growing crop, and it can grow anywhere. And Rhode Island is one place where we actually do have very great farmlands. We kind of just forgot about that.
Well, and we also have, and I think of this from the farmer standpoint. I spent a lot of time, probably about 5 years, as an agriculture reporter over at EcoRI News. And, I know some of the struggles that these farmers go through, whether they're rotating their crops. If they can rotate out their crops and plant a couple of those fields with a really fast-growing a plant that can be commoditized in a number of different ways. Imagine the boon to Rhode Island's economy.
That's exactly what we're looking at.
The strengthening of our agricultural sector, but also taking them out of the putting food on people's plates business and putting them into, a feedstock for manufacturers, basically.
Yeah.
But if there's a theme we have to today's show that's sort of developed within itself, it's the notion of outrage. So my question is, when you have the Ad Council, nationally and locally, making an enormous amount of money selling advertising under the guise of the war on drugs, when you have confiscation laws geared toward supporting local police departments, turning them into what I call the RoboCop phenomenon, when you have the prison industrial complex making billions of dollars across the country, counting on the increasing rate of incarceration amongst the inner city, when you have the legal community, which makes an enormous amount of money prosecuting and allegedly defending folks from these crimes, when you have the pharmaceutical community, which has a vested interest in promoting their own developed products, when you have all of these working together to thwart this, how do you fight this if you can't generate any sense of outrage from the body politic?
Well, I mean, I think this is again one of those knee-jerk issues that people have just been fed, frankly, a line of BS for so long. I mean, at least since Nancy Reagan.
Yeah. Right. What do we call it? America's first hashtag? Just say no.
Just say no, right? America's first hashtag. She was well ahead of her time. Nancy Reagan was. But and I say this to people all the time. If you might think that nobody smokes marijuana, all that means is that you don't know them as well as you think that you do.
I've seen, actually, in Rhode Island, it's actually pretty interesting because we already know we're very 420 friendly state.
Like 13% of the adults in the state admit to smoking marijuana in the last 6 months?
Either we like it or the general consensus is we don't care, all right? But we do have a certain generation of closet marijuana users that just don't speak up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue, too, because they still have that taboo, the taboo's still attached.
Right, they don't want the stigma of the stoner at work.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's a very large point is we have all these professionals that
Bob Watson.
You know, we have all these professionals that are you cannot question their credibility. So if they can just speak up and say, hey, you know, I use cannabis, you know, or I believe in cannabis.